Hello and welcome back to my craft room. It's time to do the first in my little series that I'm going to be doing of projects inspired by golden hands. Anybody who's as vintage as I am will remember golden hands from the 70s. My mum had it for a while. I don't know if she ever collected the whole thing. I was very lucky to be given the whole. It fitted into 5 volumes like this. It was a weekly magazine. And it covers all kinds of needle crafts and touches on some other crafts as well, but it's mostly needle crafts. Some of the styles and things look a bit dated. Some of them have come back around again. Some of the crochet stuff you could definitely wear now. But all of the techniques and the advice and everything are still sound. So I have decided I'm going to pick one project a month to have a little go at. It's going to be quite hard to choose. So what I did was a few weeks back, I gave a choice of about 5 in issue 1. So I will take a new issue every month. So it came, I don't know if I said, it was 75 issues altogether. Not sure I'll get to all of them. I might do if I'm enjoying myself. I just think it's lovely to bring some of these things back around again, you know. Some of the crafts that went out of favour for a while have come back and it's just been lovely to see. So yeah, there were 75 issues. They fit into 5 volumes altogether. I have got all of them. So it was a friend of mine that I used to work with. Her mum was having to get rid of a whole lot of stuff and she wanted a good home for these. So I said, well, I will treasure those and definitely make good use of them. So a few weeks ago, I gave a choice of 4 or 5 different projects I fancied having a go at from issue 1 and said, whichever one gets the most votes in the comments, that's what I'll do. And the one that definitely got the most votes was the button making, canvas work button making. Few people expressed an interest in frogging as well, and I did think if I've got time they would work quite well together because I make some self-covered canvas work buttons and make frogging to go with them. And what I will do is use them to fasten bags or journal wraps, book covers, that kind of thing. Here's the golden hands. This is what it looks like. There's always different experts on all the different kinds of crafts and things. So this is what each of the 75 weekly parts, you've got this kind of first kind of page that tells you what's in it. So I went all through this and picked out a few things I thought I might fancy having a go at. And what I'm going to be looking at is this canvas work. Half cross stitch, tramming and ways to make buttons. Beautiful bookmark from Donna. Thank you, Donna. I'm a bit behind in sharing my opening videos, but it will be coming up soon. And what you need to make these buttons is one of these kind of self-covering button kits. And what I did was get the biggest size I possibly could because I wanted plenty of scope. So you've got the front of the button, the fabric goes over, you've got the back of the button with the shank on it that you fasten it to whatever you're going to stitch it on. And you've also got this little nifty thing which helps you to put it all together. So I haven't tried this before, it's completely new to me. The first thing I've got to do is make the canvas work to go in it, so it'll be a while before I get to this part. I just thought I'd show you what I've got there. I got them from Amazon. I can't think what I paid for them now. I think it was 10 in a pack and they worked out about 20 pence each or something like that. They weren't terribly expensive. And if I get into it, I'd buy a bigger pack and they would work out more reasonable. I just want to know I'm going to be able to do it first. And then I didn't want to buy any canvas and things especially. I happened to have these out because I'd got them out ready for Colour Inspiration Journal. So I've just grabbed these. And they give you a little table here that shows you what size button to do with which kind of thickness of cloth. This is Ada, and they're saying here they've got Ada 14 blocks of thread to the inch. So with all of these ones, they're giving you the thread count to the inch. Here they've put 14, but it's actually 14 blocks of thread, not 14 threads. So for anybody that doesn't know, because I'm finding my way with all this really. You see those kind of are divided up into little blocks, little square blocks. There are 14 of those blocks to the inch. If I measured between here and here, or if I counted between here and here rather, there would be 14 of those blocks. Also I don't see why I couldn't use some other kinds of fabric and embroider on them. I've got some beads and things out as well that I think I might use, try beading some. I've got a little packet of sequins here too. All sorts of things here to play with. Not sure how much of it I'll actually use. I want to try it with this lovely fabric as well. I think this has got to be at least 28 threads to the inch. So I would probably assume that's the finest bit. That's got to be at least the 28. So I would go with this. But they're saying do a 3/4 inch button with that. I don't see why I couldn't do a bigger button. But I guess if you've got the kind of chunkier, less threads to the inch cloth like this, you couldn't do a really small button with it. It would just be too big, it just wouldn't work so well. So I guess these are kind of ideals, but I'm going to break the rules a little bit. But I think to make it easy on myself, this is going to be quicker, and I can exactly follow what they're saying here because I've got the exact cloth they're talking about. So they're saying 1.5 inch button plus a 1/4 inch turning, and I think, as luck would have it, I just went for the big ones I could find. I think these were 1.5 inch. Let's just have a measure. Pretty much spot on 1.5 inch. So that's good. That works well. So as well as the frogging, now I did have another look at the frogging article, and I'm quite glad everybody didn't want that because it actually didn't give you too much guidance about the frogging. When I came to actually properly look at the article, where is it? Yes, they give you some sort of nice pictures of what it should look like and of somebody stitching it together. But to me, that isn't really telling me what happens to the kind of end, the cut ends of the cord that you've used. There must be 2 ends hidden under there, but they don't tell you that. They tell you to make a cut to sketch out the shape you want on cardboard and to do a mirror version of it, which makes sense. To make a looped rouleau fastening, so that would be this. First, rough out the shape required onto a piece of stiff paper or thin cardboard. Next, shape the fabric rouleau or ready-made fancy cord. I think a fabric rouleau is when it's like a really, really long, thin tube of fabric. You could make it yourself, be fiddly, but you could. I have got lots of offcuts of cord and things in my ribbon box. So whichever you use, you shape it to the template that you've made and pin, then tack into position. I don't understand how you pin it onto a cardboard template. Stitch the looped crossings together securely. If the ends form a tight twirl, take care to sew the edges neatly together. Shape curves and press lightly as needed, making sure that the stitched edges fall at the back, just inside the curve, so they don't show. They don't tell you how to not let the ends show. Remove the frogging from the cardboard and attach neatly to the garment. I don't understand how you're removing it when you haven't actually, they don't tell you to attach it unless you pin it to the cardboard. But do you see what I mean? They're not telling you to kind of put it onto a foam base, put the cardboard over it and pin it on there, which is something I might try doing. So I might find my own way with this. I would quite like to do it. I can't imagine I'll do it for making clothes, but I think it'd be really fun fastening for a journal wrap or something like that. I think that'd be really nice, or a bag. I love making kind of funky bags, and I think that'd be really nice. So I will give it a go, and it'd be really nice to combine it with one of my fancy buttons. So if I've got time, I will come back to that. And one of the other things that a couple of people expressed an interest in was the embroidering on net, and they're talking about this really open mesh kind of net, and I'm not sure where I could get hold of that. I do remember though people having these curtains like this, and it would be quite fun to try, not to hang up in my window, but as part of stitchery projects and things. So what I found was this. Now, you may recognise this if you've got some, and the fact that it's a little bit discoloured. It did start off brown. It's one of these things you're supposed to put if you're cooking things like pizza or oven chips or something like that, you want to heat up and you want it to be heated through, but you don't want to put it on a baking tray. You put this on your oven shelf, and then you can. So they're really good. But I have got another one that's kind of got uplifted sides, which is a bit more useful. I tend to use that. I don't really use this one. So I thought, well, actually, I could try some of these embroidery techniques on this, and that could be really interesting. So I'm going to try and do that as well. But if I keep picking 3 projects every month out of this book, I'm not going to do anything else. So we'll see how I go. I'm going to do the buttons because that got the most votes. Oh, from cufflinks to carpet. Cufflinks. Well, I bet John would love a pair of cufflinks like that. So I have got some graph paper, and I might try roughing up my own design once I've had a go, but I want to keep it simple for this one. And I quite like this. I think this is quite a pretty little design. I can just copy that just as it is, but with my colours. So I have got some embroidery floss here. I've also got some tapestry wools that were in the parcel that Leslie sent me, so I could use them as well. So they're saying to use 6 strands of stranded cotton or tapestry wool or raffia. I guess when you're working on a button this big with this kind of coarseness of fabric, you can use quite fat. I don't fancy using raffia in that though. But anyway, I'm going to go with this stranded cotton. I've got a sharper needle than I need there, but I think it'll be right. I should be using a tapestry needle really. Interesting to say here that the snap together buttons are simple to make and come with easy to follow instructions on the packet. Well, Mine didn't actually have any instructions, but I'm hoping it's obvious. There was a diagram on the Amazon thing where I bought it. If you prefer, your local singer shop will turn the finished work into buttons. Don't think that's a thing anymore. Use half cross stitch, trammed or untrammed, as you find it necessary. But the idea is that you've got to cover. You don't want any of this canvas to show through. So tramming is where you run a line of thread along where you're going to stitch first, and then you do your half cross stitch over it, and that makes sure that you're kind of filling in all the gaps, because you don't want it all gappy. That would look awful. So I think that's what they're talking about there. To work out your own patterns, plot them out first on squared graph paper with colour pencils. I might do that, as I say. I want to try something easy first. I think this is a bit leery. I think this is a bit leery in a good way. I'm going to go with this one. Follow the exact number of stitches shown in the picture. 1.5 inch plus 1/4 inch turning. If they don't explain everything, they're not telling you if you need to. When they say 1/4 inch turning, am I supposed to embroider all the turning? I'm assuming so, because otherwise you might end up with a little bit of white showing, which you don't want. You don't want it so thick that it won't work, that it won't clip together properly either. If I was doing a bigger piece, I'd put it on a frame, but I think for this little piece, I don't think I need a frame. I'm not going to worry about it. I might regret that, I don't know. So, we were talking about friction pens in the Discord community this morning. The fact that they will disappear with heat, but sometimes they will reappear with cold. Yeah, sometimes they disappear when you don't want them to. Like somebody was saying, a friend of theirs made all their exam notes and they disappeared before the exam, which is heartbreaking, isn't it? I wonder what happened. But they are good for, I tend to only use them when I'm going to be stitching over them. So with these, if you were using it on paper, you can rub them out by rubbing with this kind of little silicone-y feeling tip at the end, and they completely disappear. It's left the impression where I pressed quite hard, but there's none of the ink is showing. I bet you don't have to rub with that. That just works because it's the heat caused by the friction, which is why they're called friction pens, that makes them erase. So you can also erase by blowing a hairdryer over them, ironing them, even put them over a hot radiator. I've done in the past. But I do tend to only use them when I'm going to be stitching over anyway. And sometimes I just use a pencil or whatever. That's going to be my button. I think I will do these cross lines in green, and where it's white there in this sort of variegated lavender colour, and then just these little centres in yellow. So I'm going to try this tramming thing as well. So find a centre. I'm not going to worry too much about finding the centre, because again, it's such a small piece. But it makes sense what they say. If you were doing a larger piece, you find the centre by folding it in half and half again, and you start from the centre and work out. Mark the centre lightly with a coloured crayon or thread. Start in the centre, but instead of using a knot, draw the needle up through the canvas, leaving a tail about 1/2 inch long at the back. Hold this thread close to the canvas and work over it, so you bind it in as you go, rather than ending up with knots. Darn the thread at the end. Yeah, when you finish off, you darn the end into your back of your stitches. A half cross stitch, hard wearing, smooth, flat, and ideal for things which need to be tough, like buttons. That's shown from left to right. That's the back. This is what I'm after. And I really shouldn't be so lazy. I should go and get a tapestry needle, but I think I'm going to be alright with this. I think it'll be okay. It's not super sharp. Let's do the green first. So all 6 strands. Okay, pause the film while I untangle my thread. Okay, that's all untangled, and since I stopped filming anyway, I decided to stop being such a lazy mare and get my tapestry needles out. Still got too sharp a point really. I think I bought this little set of needles when I was making up the whatnot kits. I wanted large eye sharp pointed needles, like chenille needles. Thought that's what I got, didn't realise they were so chunky, so they were far too chunky to put in the kits. But I thought, oh well, they'll be handy anyway. I think they'll be right. It's a little bit too sharp, you know, the tapestry needle's just kind of quite round-ended, isn't it? But I think I'll be okay. Alright, let's have a go. I'm going to cut this into like 3 lengths, this bit of this thread that I've got left. So if I make it too long, I'm going to get in a knot. I know what I'm like. I love learning something new, especially when it works. It's so satisfying. If I really love doing this, I might do some more and make it part of the rest of my colour inspiration project, because my chosen colours are, well, it was green, but with a pop of red violet. So kind of these really. And my chosen shape is circles, because I just love circles. And I might do that. And I also quite fancy, because somebody again in the Discord group was talking about Dorset buttons. I think it was Sue is doing a course soon, I thought, oh yeah, Dorset buttons, I haven't done them for ages. Well, that's a circular motif again, isn't it? So I'm not going to worry about finding the centre. This is so small, I don't think it's important. This is just a repeating pattern, so I've got one line and then 1, 2, 3 lines missed. I have got to go 1/4 inch bigger than this. Okay, I'm gonna eyeball it. That gives me a good 1/4 inch margin. I'm assuming I've got to work this. I wish they made that clear whether I need to work the turning or not. I'm going to, because I just think otherwise it's going to show the white. So it's really simple stitch, especially on this Ada fabric. Each stitch is going to be made in one of these little squares. So I'm coming up through the bottom left. So looking at each of these little squares, I'm coming up in the bottom left hole, and then I'm going down through the top right hole. Just hope I've got enough thread in this colour because I love this green. So I'm just going to work rows of these half cross stitches. It's going to be pretty quick to do. I think I should be able to do it while I'm sitting here for a little while. It's proving quite easy to just trap that thread in at the back. I can see why you would do that. You don't want lumpy knots and things. And once I'm not trying to hold this out under the camera, I can just get it under my nose. I think that would be quite quick progress. Yeah. Okay, I don't think I need to sit and do that with you. Whoops. You can see the gist of what I'm doing there. There we go. You can see what I'm doing there. I'm just going to follow the photograph in the magazine, and just the whole thing is just done in these little half cross stitches. Easy peasy. So I'm going to follow this through, and then I'm going to, when I'm ready to cut around this and put the button together, I'll come back and show you. Yeah, I think this is going to, I'm fingers crossed it's going to be reasonably straightforward. I'll see you in a bit. I don't think you need to sit and watch me stitching. It has taken me a couple of hours actually to do this. I had to change. I had to use different shades of green because I ran out of the green I started with, but I quite like how that worked out in the end. And I like the variegated purple, and I like that little pop of yellow. I decided to put the sequins on as well, just to make it more fun. So now is going to be the big moment. This is now getting to the tricky bit. So this has taken me a couple of hours to sit and do this, longer than I thought it would, but I'm quite happy with it. It's really not the best stitching, but I think it's going to be good enough, and it's not going to be too gappy. I was worried it's going to be a bit gappy or something. It's fine. The back is a mess, but I haven't got big knots or anything. I wove all the ends in. So now this should be my seam allowance, but obviously I've got to be careful not to not to cut it so that the stitches come out. And I'm really hoping that this next bit is going to go smoothly. I definitely would, if this works out now, I definitely would do it again. Yes, it took me a couple of hours, but I'd probably get faster. I like the way it's looking, and certainly couldn't have gone out and bought a button like this. I'd quite like to do, you could do initials on there, and yeah, all sorts of things. So, but I'm quite keen on the idea. I'm just really worried now, a bit nervous now, because I've never done this before. So with these buttons, you get the back and the front. The back fits into the front like that. You wrap the fabric around the front, the back fits into it, and you clamp them together, and then there's this little shank for attaching the button to whatever you're going to attach it to. Oh, now I feel like that isn't big enough. Well, I allowed what they said. I'm going to be so gutted if this is now not big enough, and I should have just I should have just left more of a overlap. I'm going to be so gutted. I'd have to find something else to do with this. Oh well, it's still a circle. It was still going my stitching thing. Oh no, I'm going to be so. I could have just easily left a bigger. Oh, never mind. Okay, let's not panic yet. So I'm going to wrap this around here. This will go inside here. The whole thing should pop inside this little see-through bit, and I should be able to see where I'm placing it. At the moment, that doesn't feel like it's going to go in there at all. The fabric is just going to be too heavy. Oh, I'm going to be so gutted if this doesn't work after all this work. So it just takes a bit more brute force than I'm giving it. We'll do that. The back we go. Yeah, that's got to wrap around there. And I don't think it's going to be big enough. It's just too thick. It's too thick to go in there. Because I can see the principle. Once you get this pushed in, it will automatically make the edges of the fabric curl over. Also, it'd be so pretty if I can only make it work. It's quite sharp. The edges are quite sharp. I've course, there are machines that do this for you, so you just like push the lever down, but they're very expensive. Or if you're alive in the 1970s, you can go into the Singer shop and they'll do it for you. I'm devastated. I think I've done all that for nothing because I've now cut it too small anyway. Just wantonly just cut that without even double checking that it was big enough. I'm an idiot. It's never going to wrap around there, is it? Can I manage to put it onto another piece? Can I make this work? Can I manage to stitch it onto another piece that will go over there? Maybe. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece of this. Make it plenty big enough this time. Just to check out how the thing actually is supposed to work. So that is quite thin. You know, people are saying they were using these for upholstery fabric. I mean, there we go. That's gone in there nicely now. And you can see it makes the fabric kind of roll over a little bit. I just think this is too thick for it. I might have to do some more delicate embroidery on some of this fabric then, and make the buttons with that. Although I just totally went by this and allowed 1/4 inch all round. Whereas to me it feels like, yeah. So if you look at what I've done here, spot my obvious mistake. I drew around this to get the shape, whereas actually there's this extra piece here as well. And then I added 1/4 inch. So I've really only given myself like 1/8 inch, because that's, yeah. So for this size button I wanted more like this. And what have I got? It's not far, obviously. I could have easily done. Oh, how infuriating. What I'm wondering now is, can I cut a circular piece of fabric just to make this work now I've done it? Tidy this up a bit, blanket stitch it onto another piece of fabric and wrap that around the button just to make this one work, because I really want it to work. I'm so cross with myself. Okay, so for this one, just to try it out, just to make sure the system works. It's really nice that is see-through, so you can see if you're trying to make a design, if you've done something like this or this and you want it to be central, you can place it exactly. You can see exactly what you're doing. Oh, you've got to have a bit of patience. Okay, that would probably, and if it's not central, you can take it out again, readjust it, and then you want enough fabric inside here. Obviously if it's something thick like this, you wouldn't be able to, you'd have to trim it down a little bit more. And then you put this bit inside here, back of the button, and then this bit goes in here, goes on top, and you can push down the heel of your hand to give it some welly. And that is supposed to set them together. Got that a bit crooked. I actually push it in quite well just with my thumb, actually. That feels pretty good. Next problem is getting it out of the gadget. Is that going to be easy? Yes! Fantastic! It's funny how that looks all shiny. I guess because you're getting the reflective nature of the metal underneath coming through. It makes it look like this is plastic or something. I wonder if I will still be able to... Can I still embroider on it? Yes, I perhaps could do something fairly simple on there at least. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. I'm going to have a bit more of a fiddle around off camera with this and just see if there's a way I can make this work. Otherwise I'm going to have to do another little piece this evening, only bigger. I've just got a feeling it's going to be too thick. This just isn't going to do it, but we'll see. But that has done a lovely job. Really, really pleased with that. Okay, I'm going to have a bit more of a fiddle about and see if I can make this work, and I'll come back and show you. Right, I did a bit of work on this last night and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think that looks really cute, except there were a couple of problems. So this was using this even weave fabric, and I went cross-eyed trying to count, but it looks like about 30 threads to the inch, so it's quite fine. I found that I've done a little line there just to show you, but that's using 2 strands of a stranded floss or stranded cotton embroidery thread, 2 strands together, and that seems to cover the fabric really well. I'm using far too big a needle because it's the one that I had with me. And I'm thinking I might continue this down and do like rainbow stripes. I'll do 2 or 3 rows of each colour and do like a rainbow button, cover this whole thing. I'll have a go at that, and I will post pictures in the Facebook group and the Discord community as well, just so you can see how they turned out if you want to. This one, I think it looks really sweet. It's really cute, but you can see there's a couple of obvious problems. One, I need to remember to weave the ends in at the back, like I've done there, because otherwise you get this going on where you can see my end there, which is really annoying. The other thing is the shine of the metal button. So if the fabric isn't completely covered in stitching, you're going to get that shine, which is a bit annoying. I put this on the radio. I had drawn this out the same as I have there with a friction pen, by the way, and I put it on the radiator this morning to make the ink disappear. But it's so cold here today, it might come back in a minute. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I love the look of it like that, not all completely covered in stitching. I think that's really quite sweet like that, but I don't want that shiny thing, because if you catch it in the wrong light, it looks like it's made of plastic or something. It's really strange, that effect. So a couple of things I could do there. Tom suggested maybe painting, like coating the metal base with something first. It could even be like a clear matte medium or something, just to dull the shine. I could try sanding it to dull the shine, but I still feel like you might see the metal through it. I also thought what I might try very thin, putting just a little layer of a very thin, the thinnest muslin that I can find, just a little muslin scrap to go underneath it. I think I've got lots of this calico for making my swap squares, but I feel like if I try and do 2 thicknesses like that, I might be struggling to make it work again, like I did with the tapestry. I don't know, but I might try it, because that would be a very easy solution, just to put a layer of that underneath. Because I really like the look of it, this even weave fabric with just the little motif on there and not completely covered. I just think that looks really pretty. This, I've decided what I'm going to do with it is just stuff it out to keep that shape, and incorporate that as a little pincushion inside a needlebook or something. I think that looked really pretty like that. I'm happy I've done this experiment. I will definitely do more of these. There have been a few problems, but I think there's nothing I can't get round. I can't see how, without getting them made into buttons professionally or having a big machine, I'm never going to be able to make the canvas work as a button, as a covered button. But I'm really glad I had a little go at the canvas work, because I think I can use this for other things. I've got quite a lot of that Ada fabric that was given, so it's nice to have a way to use it. But this is something that this making buttons out of this even weave and using them as closures on bags and books and things, I think that'll be really, really cute. I even think that you could maybe make nice brooches out of them, actually. So I'm glad I gave it a go. That's my revisiting of Golden Hands for this month. I still think I want to try, if I can make the time. I've lost it now. What have I done with it? Oh, I've put it somewhere safe. I keep losing things. I still want to try the embroidering on net. I'm not sure about the frogging. I read the sort of scant instructions on that, and it's really they're not very helpful. So I think I'm maybe going to give the frogging a miss. But I do quite fancy the embroidering on net thing, because I think that could be really fun, and I might even work that into my ongoing colour inspiration journal for this month. I think that could be quite fun. I've got a little idea for that. So watch this space on that one. The idea was to go back to Golden Hands, see what I can learn from it, just revisit some of the crafts from the past, and just see what I can do with them in today's world. See, put a today's spin on it, if you like. And I think that's what it's done. It's given me, I haven't done it quite at what they were suggesting, but it's definitely inspired something that I will enjoy going forward. So yeah, so I'm glad I did that. In a week or so, I'll come back. I'll have a look at the next issue of Golden Hands, back from 1971, I think they came out, and come up with some choices of different things I'd like to try from that issue, and let you guys choose, because it's really nice having you help me choose which thing to have a go at. If I had enough time in the day, I would just try all the crafts. I would just try everything that's in there, but we've never got enough time, have we, to do all the things we've got to do. So I've got to narrow it down a bit, so it's really nice if you can help me narrow it down. I'm going to stop waffling now, because it's enough already. I hope you enjoyed that. Have you ever tried making these self-covered buttons yourself? Any tips and things, very gratefully received. If you have and you'd like to share some pictures, you can pop them in the Discord community or the Facebook group. I'll put my link tree in the description box so you can find them. That's me done for today. I'm going to do a bit of felting now. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks very much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon, hopefully tomorrow.